So today on The Art of Adjusting, we're talking about cyber insurance. I'm Chantal Roberts, and I'm joined by Sean Griffin, an attorney with Dykema. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
That's right, Dykema or Dykema Gossett.
Great.
Either one.
Perfect. Sean, thank you so much for being here.
Very welcome. Excited to be here.
Great. Let's finish talking about you and let's talk about me.
Okay.
I've posted on LinkedIn some of my more boneheaded moves, such as not backing up my data, and a lot of solo practitioners who don't have big IT firms and who can't afford the cloud backups, use Dropbox and Google. And when I had posted this, you're like, oh, no, 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 don't do that. Because
Yes.
it might not be the most secure. Is that correct?
Yeah, it might not be most secure is a good way of putting it. Much like I might not be able to beat LeBron James in a one-on-one basketball match. So the same level there. I mean, for a variety of reasons. I mean, think these big name companies, Dropbox, Google Docs, they have lots of documents from lots of people. They're big, attractive targets, which means lots and lots of the hackers are trying to get into them. Private hackers, and now we have to worry about government-based hackers too. We see a lot of activity from Russia and China, the two big ones, but they're all over the world now, and they'll all come around and they all take their shot at Dropbox and Google, and they're all just going to have attacks on them, successful attacks, data breaches, that sort of thing. Especially if you have not the strongest password in the world, and so for that one reason, you wouldn't want to do that. Now they have perfectly good security for uploading, say, your resume or your picture. I mean, you don't really care about that. But for confidential information that you really need to keep hold of, you want to think about other options other options that you would actually have to pay for. But again, you sort of get what you pay for a lot of times.
Right. So I'm telling all of my clients, by the way, that you're my attorney in this matter. And you told me not to upload their sensitive documents up to these free-ish things. And that's the reason why I lost all of their
Well, I
so
appreciate you helping out my branding by saying that I'm the reason you lost all their information.
yes, well, actually, it was, you told me not to, so that's why I didn't back up, and that's
Uh,
why I lost it. So I was under advice of counsel. So
so just to hasten to all the viewers out there, I did not tell her not to back up at all. I just said,
that's not the conversation that I don't. I that's the
you don't
no.
remember that?
I
Called
don't
don't back up,
remember
and
that
then
conversation at all. Of course,
you scroll past that, so,
of
sort of
course,
like,
we were drinking at dinner. So in full
well, true,
disclosure,
I
full
bet it's some other
disclosure,
things. Who knows? I'm glad that's the most significant thing you remembered.
it could be, full disclosure for our viewing audience, which there is absolutely zero because my mom doesn't even watch this.
There'll be
But
massive people watching this. My face alone will bring in viewers
it
to
should. I mean,
say, wow, that guy has a gigantic head, they'll say. I can't believe it's real. Maybe it's some sort of
no,
filter.
no, no, no. I mean, you're obviously the good looks behind the organization and the brains. I mean, you're the complete package.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to record that and play it later.
I'll send you your check later.
Appreciate it.
Um,
Yeah.
so after I lost the majority of my work, my husband, who used to be in IT, he's an adjuster now. We're currently going through a divorce, by the way, because he did not tell me to automatically back up my work. Because you'd think someone
So
in
these are
IT
two
would.
people who told you not to back up there.
I know, right? And like I'm in insurance, so it's not like I'm risk adverse or anything. Like I wouldn't have thought about it. So
I'm
I've
just saying,
now.
if you divorce your husband, I can't marry you. I'm already married, so I can't
Oh,
step in for that role. So you might have to hold on to
dang.
that. So yeah, yeah.
That sucks.
I
I'm
know. I know.
heartbroken. But what we got now is a removable hard drive as an alternative that automatically backs me up 2 or 3 times a day. What do you think
Mhm.
about that as a business alternative for cybersecurity?
Listen, in terms of security, it's hard to beat because you have a plug-in hard drive into your computer, It backs up to that computer. There's no way for anybody to hack into that. It just, is where it is. Then you just have a question of physical security. Put your, don't leave it on the Starbucks coffee table or whatever when you go out, and then you're good. It's extraordinarily secure. I mean, you will have limits in terms of space and everything, and maybe organizational challenges you have to deal with. But in terms of security for, solo practitioners, just dealing with pure documents and, space isn't really an issue. Security wise, it is hard to beat. If you need more than that, then you have to look at, more secure file transfer services, but you have to really give those a good solid look to make sure they have adequate security, encryption, two-factor authentication, all the sort of good stuff that makes sure that your data won't just leak out there at the first sign of intrusion.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I've got two things here. First of all, my office manager is a cat, and he's a little beady-eyed. So
That's a problem there.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking. There's a security in the fact that, I mean, like, I wouldn't take it to Starbucks or anything like that, but my cat could probably log in and sell
Well,
that, stuff.
I've seen cats on keyboards. If your cat accidentally types in your keyboard, that probably means your password is pretty strong, actually, it's not a word that you would.
Well, see, and that gets to my second point, where what can a small business do to protect itself other than having the same password everywhere, which is what I do. So just full disclosure for all the cyber criminals out there, my password, once you get it once, is like, that's it. You got everything. So what else could we do to protect ourselves?
Okay, first of all, I would say as your attorney, don't have your same password everywhere. I mean, I am quite lazy when it comes to passwords, but I don't even do that. So change them up, and they have services. LastPass is one that gets a lot of publicity that do that too. Your Google Chrome will remember your passwords, but again, for a lot of your banking, your confidential information, you don't necessarily want to trust that to anybody else. And don't write your password and stick it by your computer. And I'm saying all this because I just wrote a blog post and I had occasion to look up what the most popular passwords were.
Yeah.
And in 2020 were the record year for data hacks, big, high profile data breach incidents. The most popular password was 123456.
I thought that would be over by now.
No. The second most popular password was 123456789.
Oh, geez.
In 2019, the most popular password was 12345, which fell down to 5th place. So, and the 4th most popular password is password. Still, has a.
So let me interrupt you real quick. Just sorry. Have you seen that British comedian who talks about how we all have the same passwords when we first started off on the internet? He starts off with all of our passwords were password. And then everybody insisted that we make it a little bit more secure by adding a number. So it was password 1. And then we had to start adding like a weird character, a special character. And after Googling what a special character was, it was password 1 exclamation point. And then he said, now all of you buggers are going to like sitting there saying, I got to go home and change my password right now. He's just guessed it.
that is very, very true. The SolarWinds hack that happened last year, huge consequences, huge international consequences in terms of diplomacy policy, because Russia executed this quite extensive hack. The SolarWinds server password was SolarWinds123. So don't feel too bad about your password, but yes, change it to something that you can't easily guess. So that is one thing I would do. In terms of other things small businesses can do, you have to worry about data breaches and ransomware. Or data breach, I'm using both in the intentional and unintentional sense. I mean, you could have a data breach if you leave your laptop open at Starbucks while you get your coffee. Nobody's into your system, but somebody can see that that's a data event technically. And for that, there's and a zillion things you can do, but briefly, make sure you have a strong password. Your smartphone, make sure that's generally locked with its own strong password. I would recommend two-factor authentication for everything you could put it on. Setting on the computer, any of your accounts or anything.
Yeah.
And I will mention too, and most people have thought of those things, but one thing people don't think about much at all are their printers. Most people, small businesses have a wireless printer. They
Right.
put a document to their printer. Well, they don't realize that the printer will store whatever you print on it. So you send your confidential information to your printer. Oh, Chantal's case is very sensitive, but here's my litigation strategy. And your
Right.
printer is remembering that even after it's printed it out. And so you've gotten it from your printer and you're saunter off, and then somebody could hack into your printer and see what they could see in terms of that.
Wow.
So you need to make sure that your printer, to the extent possible, is password protected. Some
I don't
printers offer
even I don't
encryption.
even know. Half the time my printer, I cuss my printer because I can't figure it out. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I just
Yeah,
unplug it and plug it back in again because that's the only thing I've learned from IT,
yeah,
honestly.
my printer is very secure because it never prints out anything on the first try. So jokes on you, hackers. I can't print anything. Somebody wanted my signature yesterday. I was like, I can't help you. Sorry, my printer is just not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Just like, oh, you know,
yeah, but look at your printer. Those are your unsecured ports. I mean, that's really is the the hot thing nowadays is for hackers to hack into your network using
yeah.
your secured printer, unsecured printer.
See, I think I asked you on LinkedIn something similar. Like I've heard that your refrigerator that's linked in to the internet or whatever, like that's the way that hackers get into your home system, and so when we were looking for a new refrigerator, I didn't want one that had the internet
Screen.
interface or whatever where I could type what my grocery thing is and then it could email me or whatever. So um,
Um,
whatever.
well, the good news is that refrigerators aren't the big entry point in because there aren't enough smart refrigerators out there, and what they have on them are basically eggs, milk, whatever. That's not enticing. It is
You never
possible.
know. I mean,
You never know. Somebody might be dying to see what I'm about to make for dinner, and
exactly. I mean, you know,
however, if I can foresee one where your computer, if it might have your Wi-Fi password, obviously, and if somebody's really determined to get into your stuff, somebody can, they have to like think, okay, I know Chantal, she has a smart refrigerator. She's locked out a printer like that Griffin guy said, but she does have a smart refrigerator. Um, Honestly, pretty low risk, higher risk in the days of the pandemic. Now that everybody is working from home, and some people might have smart refrigerators, but
mm,
I wouldn't toss and turn at night over the refrigerator risk yet. Um, no,
cool.
the day before
I'm
this
more
drops, there'll be a huge refrigerator hack, and I'll
Now
have to.
I'm more worried about my cat and my printer. I mean, who knew? But
Yeah,
let's talk
keep your eye
insurance.
on your cat.
You know, so what should a small business look for in cybersecurity? So, I think I looked at my coverage and I saw that it was kind of all packaged in. Do they always have to be separate policies? Or do they, meaning small businesses, do they always have to purchase like separate policies for cyber events, or usually like a nice BOP policy? Is that good enough? Kind of like your homeowner's policy or whatever?
Okay, now you're speaking my language. I've been CSA for years. I do insurance defense, data security. This is my wheelhouse right here. A few years ago, in 2015, the Fourth Circuit decided a case involving travelers insurance. Travel insurance said they didn't want to cover a particular data event that this hospital had because this CGL policy did not cover cyber insurance. And the Fourth Circuit says it sure does. This language right here, I'll skip over for now. We only have so much time, but it technically covers cyber insurance. It's construed against you, so you're on the deck. Now, at the time, I predicted that cyber insurance would be up, right? Specific cyber insurance would be on the rise. I figured insurance companies would not want to start amending the CGL policies, this business owners policies, whatnot, to exclude cyber risk and make you buy a separate policy.
Mm.
They tried to do this. However, since it was a new market, the pricing was an issue. So a lot of businesses didn't want to buy separate prices. The price was just too high, and they saw the risk was pretty remote. And so the separate cyber insurance never really took off. So the insurance companies a lot of times said, well, you know what? You seem like it is the CGL policy or the business owners policy. We'll just put it back in there again.
Right.
And a lot of times, though, there are a lot of gaps in those policies because they're not separate policies. They don't really cover everything. They just sort of say, okay, you're covered for data security events, and maybe you have to sue. Last year, the Maryland Stitch and Ink case came out, and District Court of Maryland, and the big fight over business owners policy as to whether a ransomware attack constituted a loss of property that would trigger the insurance coverage. And both sides moved for summary judgment. The judge ruled, guess what? It does constitute a loss of property. Insurance company pay up, and that was that. And Vizio's involved in a big insurance lawsuit out there as to whether their data breach case is covered. Actually, it was data appropriation. They were sued for these were collecting information without the customer's permission, and they settled. And they went after the insurance company saying, "Hey, you're supposed to pay for this," and the insurance company said, "No, we're not." And now they're involved in litigation that probably will not end soon.
Yeah.
So this happens all over the country now, and this happens because there are, in a lot of policies, a lot of gaps in insurance coverage that are left there either because the broker didn't put them in, or somebody figured, well, we'll just deal with that later. We don't want to pay too much extra for it. And so if you're a small business and looking at cyber insurance, take a good hard look at your policy. Look at it, particularly for ransomware attacks. I've been dealing with those for years, and they're only increasing and getting a little more sophisticated, a little more targeted. Want to make sure you cover for a ransomware attack, and don't think you're too small to suffer a ransomware attack, because you're not. Don't think you're too small to suffer a data breach, because you're not. Somebody might try to steal your data, particularly if you're a small business with a bigger client and the client has to exchange information with you. A lot of times, even sophisticated hackers looking for a big company know they can't attack large corporation because they have robust data security, but they figure you, as a solo practitioner, will have much more lax security, and they can get to their target through you. Or even if you're a second-tier vendor, they sort of slowly crawl their way through the degrees of vendors until they get to the big company. So, and if they find some information they can exfiltrate or sell on the dark web, they will do that, because that's the type of people they are. So
yeah.
look
Fair point. I mean, my cat is probably on the dark web. I don't even know how to get on the dark web. Like, do you Google dark web and then there's like a door? This is another conversation for another
First of all,
time.
I think I'm going to hire your cat as a consultant. He sounds pretty tough, actually.
He is a mean SOB. Let me tell you about this. 10 pounds, okay? Now, my marketing manager, his name is Red, and he's 100 pounds, and Red is scared of Simon, my cat, because Simon will sit at the top of the stairs and at night and just won't let Red come upstairs to sleep with us, because that's what
seems like a big battle royale going on.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But again, Simon does here have a sense of data security. He's not going to just any hacker into the secure area. So I do appreciate that. Let me know Simon's rates.
I'll totally hook you up and everything. But speaking of smooth moves and things that I have done in regards to data breaches or alleged data breaches or something to that effect, and I had told you about this previously, is that I had gotten an email which was spoofed, and I didn't know at the time that it was as spoofed, because it came from an attorney that I worked with previously. I had a webinar with her. So when she sent me a link saying, hey, look at these documents, and I get this kind of link from attorneys to download their systems when I'm doing expert witness work. So nothing rang alarm bells with me. It was only when it came up and it asked me for a password, and I'm like, I don't have a password, because usually the attorney will go, here's your temporary password, by the way, be sure to change it. I emailed this attorney back, and that's when I got the incorrect English, the improper English, the misspellings, and all of this. And I thought, oh my God, I've just responded to some spam and to some phishing or whatever. And so this is another reason why I'm divorcing my husband, because he should have warned me about this. But I was mentioning this to a colleague of mine who said that she felt in 2020 the increase in spam and phishing has just been off the charts since the pandemic. Is this something that you're seeing?
Absolutely. The FBI put out a warning a little while ago, and a bunch of international law enforcement agencies also put out a warning saying that the pandemic, the hackers know that people are sitting at home. They've taken their work home. So you've essentially your office is a pretty secure area generally if you work for a big corporation. Now you're working from home. Your Wi-Fi may or may not have a password. All these things may or may not be secure. You may or may not have a smart speaker in your office space that may or may not be recording everything you say.
Right.
And so, the data security has weakened in that respect. And then everybody's kind of bored and restless and agitated too. So they figure this is the prime opportunity for phishing scams. Not only general phishing scams like the one you got, those are standard. Hey, log into this, or you get a message on Facebook. Hey, Sean, see what they're saying about you. Just click here and log in. But more targeted phishing scams, a lot of, Chantal, COVID vaccine, sign up here, or free COVID testing over here. Just click this link. People are looking for that, and people get pulled in. If you work in healthcare, either directly or indirectly, you're going to see a huge increase in those. I mean, those have really been hit the hardest. But bankings, law firms, government contractors, they're all being hit pretty hard, and they're all the same sorts of scams meant to target employees who may or may not have received the training in time to see if they can get them to click on something. So it's definitely a huge thing we've seen in 2020.
Well, the good thing is that as my attorney, you have trained me well enough to change my passwords. So I did change my passwords, but they're still all the same everywhere. After I ran like a Norton virus thing to make sure that I didn't accidentally download something.
Okay, good idea. Yeah. And all the same password, 1 2 3 4 5 6.
No. I started with like 0987. But I'm not going to give you the rest of it since we're on a vlog that I'm going to publish later.
That makes it. That's very smart.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm like, here.
But although 1 2 3 4 5 6 is the number one password, 098765 is not on the top 10 list. So
there you go.
Nobody will ever guess that.
And
I don't do this, people.
All of it. So I mean, I'm not, because I'm not that stupid. So what about some claims? Because I'm very interested in claims. Are there any interesting claims or lawsuits that you have seen? I know you can't give any names or anything like that, but
the most interesting ones involve ransomware, where the ransomware is a loss of property, like I said before. Whether your insurance covers the payment of ransoms for ransomware. That has gotten exceptionally complicated recently because OFAC came out and said if you pay a ransom and it turns out that the money has gone to a country with US has sanctions, you'll be held strictly liable. And so now you have to figure out, not only whether you pay the ransom or not, a difficult question under any circumstances, but can you tell where this is going? And remember, whether you can or not, you may be pretty sure that it's going to Utah. So,
or my uncle in Nigeria.
Or your uncle in Nigeria, but if it happens to go to North Korea or Russia or some such, and they find out, there will be no defense to say we did due diligence, we were reasonably certain. No, none of that's going to work. They're going to come after you hard. And so you see interesting cases whereby the person claims, oh, well, this we paid the ransom, the insurance company should cover the payment. The insurance company was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy, but you took that risk on your own, and we're certainly not going to be on the hook to OFAC for any payments that went to North Korea or some such. So those are the most interesting cases because they're very complex now. In the data breach category, they kind of are what they are at this point. The most interesting cases have to do with, standing with the plaintiff has suffered enough injury. That's a legal technical aspect that I write a lot about on my blog. So.
Yeah, so I'm not going to keep you any longer because I know you're very busy defending the world, one cyber criminal at a time, I suppose. Is there anything that you would like to, you mentioned a blog, is there anything you'd like to plug or any speaking engagements that you have coming up?
I don't have any speaking engagements coming up in the near future, but I do have my blog, SeanCGriffin.com. Sean spelled like Sean Connery or Sean Puffy Combs, depending on how old you are.
And you look just like both of them to get to
exactly. Resemblance is uncanny, I've been told.
Yes.
So, you can check that out for data security and insurance litigation news. And that's about what I have going on now. So.
Okay. Well, Sean, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yay, great. Thanks. Bye-bye. Today I've spoken with Sean Griffin of Dykema. We spoke about cyber insurance. Every claim is different, and every insurer has different protocols for handling losses. However, this being in the litigated world that we are in, see below for some legalese. Few claims go to a jury trial, and picking the expert who has been deposed the most or who has gone to trial the most may not be the correct expert. Failing to have a second set of eyes on a claim in order to save some expenses isn't always the best way to resolve a loss. As an expert witness and former claims adjuster, I'm sharing my experiences in the art of adjusting. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time.